Oh, oh my goodness. I do believe I am serving Kant. Now, this right here is one of those very rare occurrences that I will actually reshoot an entire video. Uh, Last night I shot this video. We were talking about abstract spoilers. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And I was just a little too drunk to really get my mind right on what I was trying to express, what I was trying to say. I had a lot of big feelings. Somebody with BPD, I tend to have a lot of big feelings, and some of those come out when I'm drunk. And there's a lot of stuff that I want to keep private. To be honest with you, it's just yeah. So we're gonna redo the video, and we're gonna talk about abstracts and try to stay focused on it. In this video, you never are going to see the one that I didn't do because this is a reshoot. So let's get right on into it, shall we? What's happening, Captain? What's new, kangaroos? It's your dandy, Candy, and welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Was I Thinking? Where today we're going to be talking about abstract paintings that we've done, and maybe kind of get into them. It's kind of hard to explain abstract paintings when trying to explain what they mean because, well, they're abstractions. I'm not really an abstractionist myself. I'm more of a surrealist with aspirations to be a Dadaist, but I do occasionally dabble in abstract artwork. Mostly when I have a lot of artistic energy built up and I need to get something out on a piece of paper or a piece of canvas or something of that nature, but I don't really know what I want to do or don't really have a cohesive idea of what I want to paint. I tend to paint in a method called automatism, which is where I don't really think about what I'm painting. I just let my brain shuts off and I just let my subconscious do the work. So a lot of our abstract pieces are in that field. It's more about colors and shapes and patterns and how it looks more than anything else. Though there are some pieces that do have relevancy to them. There are some pieces that do have some relevancy to them, behind them. But for the most part, it's just exercising with colors and shapes and patterns. So we're going to try to break this down into different segments because my abstraction pieces are not all uniform in their in the way they come across. So they're kind of genred, if you will. So let's go ahead and get started. For the first segment of our abstract pieces, we're going to be talking about pour paintings. Pour paintings are a very entry-level introduction to doing abstract work. They were really popular out here about 10 years ago, back 2016, 2017. That's just depressing to think that was just 10 years ago. Man, how time fucking flies. It ain't even like we're having any fun. It's just fucking flying. But yeah, no, back in 2016, 2017, out here in the Valley, everybody was getting into pour art, stuff like that. And it's a very easy genre to get into. I was introduced to it by a person that I believe their name was Kay. I don't remember what their artistic name was, but Kay. I'll just say her name was Kay. I'm not even sure if she still does any work or not. I honestly couldn't tell you, but she was really popping off out here with doing these pour paintings. And what she would use is a creme brulee torch in there to make it have more bubbles to her final parts, to her final product. And we even collaborated once on a piece, and it was pretty fun experience. And it felt I got really inspired by their work to try my own at doing pour work. Now, for the most part, pour art is real simple. You just take a bunch of paints, usually acrylic paints. You add some dish soap and water. You don't mix it together. You just add a little dish soap, a little water in there for a flowing agent. Put them into separately placed cups or anything really. Just put them on the canvas. Tilt the canvas until you like it. That's roughly how pour art goes with that style. There's other people that do different methods. I'm not trying to make it too simple, but that's the gist of doing a pour art is just basically pour the paint on the canvas and see how it plays out. A lot of our pieces in that regard, I think they came out pretty good. There's a few of them that have some significance, some that are near and dear to my heart, like Mr. Blobby, for example. That's a small one, small, tiny painting. I do paintings of various shapes and sizes. And this one the American audience may not get who Mr. Blobby is, but I've been on the internet for a very long time, and I'm a bit of a Teaboo. I do like British culture a lot, so I kind of know who Mr. Blobby is from that. So the color patterns remind me of Mr. Blobby, so that's why that one's kind of relevant to that. It's not super deep or meaningful. I just like the color palette. Another one that pops off in my mind is Purple Rain, which is one of my favorite pieces I've done, inspired by the song Purple Rain off the album Purple Rain for the movie Purple Rain. All of them are pretty solid entries there in the Purple Rain category. The Weed Strain, it's kind of okay. But this piece, it's one of those things where if you may not get it. You may just, oh, it's just a bunch of purple stuff and sparkly shit. Ooh. But it's the piece itself is looking up at the sky as the rain is coming down from the perspective of looking into a puddle. So you see the clouds over you while you're looking down, looking up. I'm not sure if I explained that too well, but that is essentially what we're going for there, is looking at the sky from a puddle. So that's Purple Rain. Another one that's a relevant piece in our pour paintings is Fairy Garden. This is a piece that I did shortly after my sister passed away back in 23. Me and her, we didn't have the greatest of relationships, although I did look up to her quite a bit throughout most of my life. She was kind of my hero there for a while, even though, again, we didn't have the greatest of siblinghood. And when she passed away, it was really difficult for a lot of people in the family, including myself. And it was just so sudden. It's like July 3rd, 23. She died the day before 4th of July. So it was really difficult for us to process that. A whole lot of shit going on. And I wanted to paint something in her memory a little bit. So she was really big into fairies, elves and fairies and things of that nature. And I thought it would be kind of neat to do a piece kind of inspired by a fairy garden. So that's what that piece represents. It's kind of an homage to my sister, who is no longer with us. That's the pour paintings. We got quite a few of those. We even did a couple holiday themed ones, because why not do a couple holiday themed ones? There's a few fun ones I like in there. Mothra, that's one inspired by Mothra, because they're my favorite kaiju. Barbie World, that was a fun one because I wanted to do something excessive with pink, because one of my favorite colors is pink. Well, magenta in particular, but pink is one of my favorite shades. You probably can't tell. On to our next piece. For the second segment of our abstract pieces, these ones are inspired from the late 90s, early 2000s era of neo-tribal tattoos. If you didn't know, maybe you were born with a 20 in the beginning of your birth years. But in the 90s and 2000s, neo-tribal art was very popular with tattoos. The most famous example of some neo-tribal art nowadays would be Mike Tyson's face tattoo. That's neo-tribal. It looks tribal, but it's not tribal. So it's called neo-tribal. I think I said that 100 times by now. So if we're doing a drinking game, better call poison control. Because I was a really big fan of tattoos. I still am a big fan of tattoos. In fact, I get a lot of inspiration from Tattoo Flash, which is what's technically called. Tattoo designs are called Tattoo Flash. And in the 90s and early 2000s, I really wanted to be a tattoo artist. I thought that would be so cool to basically get paid to draw on people. It's simple. It sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like it would have been a party. But the older I've gotten and the more I've gotten to learn about the tattoo industry, I highly doubt I would ever want to actually be a part of it. It's just one of those forms of art that I really enjoy. And so I used to draw Tattoo Flash a lot in my early 20s and teenage years. And I still kind of dabble with it here and there, but I don't really do it as much as I used to. And these pieces are an exercise in neo-tribal design. We don't really have any set idea behind the piece itself. It's just the design. But you will notice with a lot of these pieces that there's a lot of clash between warm colors and cool colors, because I really enjoy that duality of warm and cold and how it plays against each other. One of my personal favorite pieces is, and I don't even remember the name of it, but it's this really funky, like orange and blue predominant tribal piece. I'm just going to call it duality because I can't remember what the hell I actually called it, but that's one of my personal favorite pieces that we have that I did in the neo tribal design. There isn't a lot of them. We had a couple of them, but that design evolved into our next segment of abstract pieces, which we call traffic lines. So then, traffic lines. Just like with the neo tribalism, we're not really going for any set goal in mind, just kind of letting the lines go where they go. That full line followed by the segmented line connection that kind of reminds me of traffic lines that you see on the road. So that's why we call these pieces traffic lines. I really love that, just real simplistic line, half line stuff. I think a lot of these pieces came out really nice. One of my favorite ones I did, like I want to say like 10 of them, is that they're literally just the most IKEA brutalist title names possible. I want to say they're like Abstract Painting 1, Abstract Painting 2, Abstract Painting 3, and so on. And these were fun as an exercise of, again, warm versus cool. And they have a very early 90s Taco Bell type vibe to them, in my opinion. It's like looking at what a Capri Sun pouch tastes like. And we even had a little fun exercising in black and white on our last piece in that segment. I just thought it'd be fun to do an abstract piece in black and white because I'm so used to doing most of my artwork in all of the colors of the rainbow. So I thought it would be fun to try to do a black and white piece. So that's what that one is right there. And now the traffic line style also evolved over time into just lines and knots, which is our next segment. And I think that's the last segment of our abstract pieces, because there's some small bits in there like the brick pieces, which and fractalization, because we do have a couple of fractalization pieces and we have a couple of brick pattern pieces. There's not really a lot of in-depth into that. I just like the pattern design. I really love stained glass. So that's where the fractal inspiration came from. So not really too much to talk about in those, since we don't do a lot of them. And we move right on to doing traffic lines and now into lines and knots, which is the next segment. Okay, so on to lines and knots. Now, we very simple. You look at it, you tell exactly what it is. They're lines, and some of them also are shaped to look like knot work. For our line pieces, a lot of our line pieces we actually just used as background for still life work. For example, we did a piece on a glass of red wine because I am particularly a fan of red wine. And we also did one called Decorative Vase, which if you know, you know. So I find them to be really good when I need to fill in space, because I tend to paint in a maximalist format, which is where I like to have every inch of the canvas covered in something. So in order to fill in space, I will do weird little squigglies or dots every once in a while, but I find lines to be really nice as a way to draw attention to the subject matter. So we usually use it as a background, so it's not exactly 100% abstract. We do have a few pieces that are done in that style that are just lines, but I felt that the knots looked better than just lines. So that's what evolved into our knot pieces. Now, our knot pieces are inspired by, well, macrame, because I'm a big fan of making jewelry. So a lot of it's inspired by macrame. It's also kind of inspired by Celtic knotwork, because I am Scots-Irish. The knot pieces mostly are flags. They're flag colors or rainbow. There's a lot of rainbow ones because, again, I do love to paint in all the colors of the rainbow. But I thought it'd be kind of nice to do some LGBTQ plus oriented paintings that are just directly LGBTQ plus. So there's a lot of pride flags that we've painted in this knot style. So that's most of those is rainbows, pride flags, and stuff of that nature done in a kind of macrame Celtic knotwork style. That should about do it. Again, abstracts are kind of hard to explain outside of just, well, we wanted to see what a bunch of shapes and patterns and colors looked like on a canvas without really having much of a subject matter. I know it's not the greatest justice to the genre of abstract work, because abstraction actually can be pretty complicated in its nuances. But for the most part, whenever we do an abstract piece, it's because we got a lot of energy built up that we need to let out. So it's kind of our sketch session, if you will, on canvas. So that's going to do it on the subject matter. It's been a few weeks since we did a proper costumed video talking about art. I know it's these videos are just kind of out there and weird to a lot of folks, but they are kind of a nice break from the chaos of my life. So there's been a lot of shit going on, a lot of frustrating stuff that has taken a lot more priority because real world stuff's far more important than internet stuff. So it's been a minute, and I honestly don't know when the next time is going to be that we're going to do another one of these videos, just because of how much stuff's up in the air right now. Um, we'll try to do a few more this month if we can, but honestly, there's so much shit going on. I can't guarantee anything. It's like I said in the beginning of the year, that beginning of the year, end of the year video. I ain't got shit planned because I learned my lesson last year from having plans. So anyway, a little sidetrack there. If you like some of our work, you want to pick some up for yourself, we do have an Etsy shop for the time being. I'm going to try to keep it open as long as I can. It's a lot of these pieces are already up there available for sale. So you want to pick some up, go and get it. Yes, yes. We also have a Venmo link if anybody's interested in helping us out or helping the channel out, because we could use every nickel and dime. And just a heads up to people going to the Etsy shop, we're going to be moving away from focusing most of our work on paintings and prints, and moving our focus more towards bracelets and necklaces, candy jewelry, mainly because we just don't have a lot of space anymore for artwork. And with the way things are going in my real life, I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to have any space for artwork. So paintings are kind of they take up a lot of space, and jewelry doesn't take up as much space, and both are equally satisfying to make in my eye. I hate being a bored artist, and I hate feeling boxed into one particular genre or category. So I like to dabble around a lot in a lot of things, and so we're going to be focusing more on jewelry making and stuff like that. So if you like that type of stuff, great. There's going to be plenty more coming. But as far as paintings go, we'll put what we got up eventually. I'm trying to find some other places to sell my artwork as well, because I've heard a lot of negative stuff about Etsy. But yeah, so if you want to check out some of our work, Etsy shop right there. If you want to help us out, Venmo link right there. I think that about do it. Kind of a hot mess, I know, but life's been kind of a hot mess. So anyways, this has been Candy Dandy. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good one.